Hey everybody, it's me. You gotta excuse me for how I look today. I'm very sleep deprived, very sleep deprived. And I think my eyes are watery, my mascara on my lower lid is running and making it look like I've got a smoky eye at the bottom, and I don't think it's working. But, we're gonna deal with what we have to deal with because I really wanted to make sure this goes out today. So I apologize for being a little tired. But, on our YouTube channel and podcast, we want to normalize these discussions in education about dying better. So we do die better end of life. And also has a lot to do with how we live. But I do want to today, since we've been doing these little snack time short series for the summer, kind of close it out with one more. And then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled content. I actually am very happy to say that we will also have interviews in the next quarters. So this will be really fun, so that you have somebody else on the other line other than me, la 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 la, in your ear or on video. I am going to talk about my book, and I will tell you, this whole thing about the book launching and plugging the book and talking about the book is kind of a little weird. It took me forever to get on social media and just put my face out there already. And then, I usually default to not going on social media because I just don't like being on there. And it just feels weird. But when I'm talking about content, I don't mind it as much because it's about you and you getting the right information and getting useful information. I want it to be useful for you. And so I created the book because I really wanted it to be helpful. So it's cool to have it actually here. It's called Everybody's Doing It, So Let's Die Better. And it's a 31-day companion for caregivers to be facing the final chapter with their loved one. So if you have any loved one any person that you love that could get sick and die one day, I'm guessing that's most people, this is for you, whether you're there or not in that caregiving phase. And I use the term caregiver a little loosely because, in this kind of world outside of medicine, because in the world of when I worked in hospice and palliative care or in the hospital, we would refer to family members and friends, anyone who was part of that unit for the patient, as caregivers. They may have not been physically giving care, to the person, to the patient, but they were part of their lives. Even if they lived across the country, they were still a part of their lives and had something to do with their life and their time of illness and sickness. So yes, I had a chance, an opportunity, and an honor really to work with a lot of caregivers and work with a lot of previous staff of mine that worked with caregivers all the time and patients. So this is about that. And the cover, so people ask me about the cover. 2 years ago when I already kind of wrote some of the book, but I ended up having to rewrite it last year actually, because it was just too long and it was too much, just way too much. You lift the book and you just say okay, I'm done. There's just too much information. But I look terrible. Boy, okay. Shouldn't do these when I'm so tired. But I wanted to make sure this got out. I had a dream 2 years ago that I picked up my book and I was reading it. And I remember the orange specifically and the blue. I just remember this and a white book. And I remember opening it up, and I remember that in my dream. So when I wanted to make the cover, my publisher was saying, we can send you a few options. And I said, sure, send me a few options. And then I created a little thing on Canva. It wasn't this, just to kind of give my idea. I made it a much better job than I would have. So yes, Action Takers Publishing is the publishing company. The blah, blah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say, wow. The launch date this podcast will go out a week before the launch date. So the launch date is August 26th of 2025, and the podcast YouTube video is going out a week before then. I do have this available on my website. If you go to diebetterbook.com, you can get it for 99 cents on the Kindle. So I know a lot of people are going to Kindle nowadays, which is great, less paper. So it's 99 cents on the Kindle. When after the 26th, after the launch date, 26th of August, on the 27th, the price does go up to $4.99. The paperback book is $19.99. But if you need the Kindle, if you like the Kindle, by all means, get the Kindle for 99 cents before the week is up, and get yourself there. If you happen to be getting the paperback version, and if you think of it, it would be great if you can wait till launch day. the reason is because it does help with the like bestseller on Amazon status. And frankly, I already am at the bestseller status on Amazon. My publisher told me, but I don't think it's that big of a deal because it's a really small niche. It's under the topic of hospice, and there aren't a ton of books on hospice. So I think it's pretty easy to get bestseller status, but I'm allowed to say I'm a best-selling author. It just feels kind of weird because it's such a small group. But anyway, it's my first time doing this. So if I'm doing the wrong things and saying the wrong things, I am. But really what I care about when I wrote this book is after seeing all the missed opportunities over and over and over again in these last 20 years of my professional career, we could really do a little bit better. And you actually do have some agency over the end of life of your loved one, and your own too. You know, this is written to the person who has a loved one who is sick or getting sick and or dying. But a lot of times it can obviously apply to you. But and in this book particularly, I'm writing to caregivers and to-be caregivers or caregivers to be. Because we will all be there someday to a degree, for sure. So you deserve this information. You deserve to have a really meaningful experience with your loved one. And, you know, we live this whole life and we're so afraid of death in a really natural and expected way that's really healthy. You know, we really do deserve to have some agency over it. We can't obviously control everything that happens in our lives, but we can have some agency over how this part of our life goes. It can be comfortable. It can be well managed, and it can be meaningful. And by all means, you and your loved one deserve that. So I really want to make sure you have that. Anyway, and let me know what you think too. You know, I spare the feelings and everything. I want to make sure that you get something out of this, because if you don't, that's a problem. That's a big problem. And you know, I want to fix it for you. So I want you to get something out of this. So if you see something, hear something, you know, have a question, need a clarification, you guys are on social media, so you know how to get a hold of me, whether it's YouTube, through the website, whatever it is, social media. And let me know what needs clarification. Let me know if I can expand on something on YouTube or social media or podcast. I go into these things in the book a little bit more than what you see on social media, on YouTube, you know, because I don't want you to read the book and then have that all same information be available, you know, on social media and YouTube channel and podcast. Yes, there's definitely overlap, absolutely, for sure, because it's such a topic that is so intertwined with other things. That's just natural. It's going to happen. But I go into other things here that I don't have on my YouTube channel and podcast, because it wouldn't be fair. But yes, there's overlap for sure. But yeah, that was my goal with that too. So everybody's doing it. Let's die better. Let's make sure we do it. Okay. All right. I love you. Let's continue these conversations and education about death and dying so we die better at end of life. And I'll talk to you soon, and appreciate any feedback you have. And that's all. See you soon. Take care.